We're ranking 26 rookie wide receivers for Dynasty Fantasy Football, the most complete set of rankings out there on the internet today. It's going to be right here, and we're doing it by the tier system. We're ranking them into tiers. We're talking ball on these wide receivers. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button right now because I'm going to help you with your rookie drafts, and I'm going to help you build your Dynasty teams. But to the tier maker, and we're ranking these wide receivers at random here today because we've been adding 3 new wide receivers at random every single week. And you need to stay to the end, or at least fast forward a bit, because I found a sleeper that not many people are talking about. Everybody's talking about all the wide receivers, but this guy right here, I'm not hearing much chatter about him. I'm going to talk about him here in a bit. But at random, we're going to start talking about these wide receivers. And the first wide receiver we're going to talk about today, Keon Coleman. Putting him here at C tier right now. C tier, Keon Coleman. Is that where he's ranked? No, because we're going to talk about him first. Keon Coleman, bigger wide receiver. Nasty at the catch points. He can create separation, but it's not consistent. We see that on film. We look at that. We broke out at Michigan State. Almost broke out at Florida State. Went off in that first game against LSU. Looked promising. 40-yard dash didn't go too hot. However, remember, bigger wide receiver. We're taller. We got length. We're not expected to separate. We're expected to be a guy who wins at the catch point. That's what we're built for. Is that what the NFL wants? Well, the team drafts him will want that. Is that going to stick? We'll have to see. What I think about Keon Coleman, and I'll probably move him throughout the process, is there's no way he's stud tier. Because think about that. Think about that. That looks horrid. There's no way he's stud tier, A tier. No. B tier, maybe. Maybe. I think C tier. I threw him there, but maybe the universe says C tier too. Maybe, because he does have some upside. It is there. It is in the profile. But the downside's there as well. He's not a bulletproof prospect. Not at all. There is some risk factor with him. You look at his draft capital, could be up there. We want wide receivers in the top 60 range when we're projected for output. But again, you got them hitters who are silent 5th, 6th, 4th round. I think C tier with room for growth is good right now. We got to move on to our next wide receiver. We got the package deal already. They're already up the list, and this is generated by the tier list. They're just jumbled up. Malik Neighbors. And who's he packaged with? Who do I package with him every week? Who is that? Who is that? I'm throwing him up now while you think about it. I'm throwing him up there now. Marvin Harrison Jr. Come on down, dude. Come on down. Come on down, Marvin Harrison Jr. Because you know what? I grade these guys as both generational prospects. I'm seeing big media say that Malik Neighbors is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. and they're trying to make it a hot take. It's definitely not. It's not a hot take. It's like you got 2 creme de la creme prospects here. Something you don't see ever. 2 very good wide receivers. Not since like AJ Green and Julio Jones. And it's not a comparison to players. It's a comparison to how they're valued, how they're evaluated, how they're rated in the draft. You just don't get that. And it's making things weird at the top, especially with big media, because they don't know what to do, because they don't really study the draft. They just talk about it. I garner these guys as generational talents. Sure do. Market share points, there. Breakout age, there. The tape checks out. I like Neighbors because he's more explosive. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's very nuanced. I see them both excelling at the NFL level, and the odds are saying it's pretty good. That doesn't mean they will. That doesn't mean they will. But the odds are pretty damn good. Moving on. And the tier makers saying, let's get hot right now because they got another guy. Some people have him up here. Let's keep him there. Let you think about that. Let that toast up a little bit. But we got Odunze here. And he looked good at the combine. I hear he's still running the 3-cone. Just to keep doing it so he can beat his time. I hear he's still doing that. Odunze is impressive on tape. I liked him during the college season. I liked him last year, especially September-ish. Pac-12 after dark. when I'm studying, making videos for you guys, I'd be watching him. Odunze excels getting downfield, strong at the catch point. He's really a different breed of wide receiver. When you look at him and you put him in any other draft class, clear-cut wide receiver 1. You put him in last year's draft class, good at the top end, wide receiver 1. The pivot, if you want to play devil's advocate to that, Jordan Addison, if you want to play it safe. Jordan Addison, though, doesn't have his upside. His upside, top 5 wide receiver, because of the burst, because how electric he is. He's going to command deep targets. That's Odunze. I don't garner him as a generational talent. I just don't. I don't think he should be an S tier. I think if I do, that would kind of tarnish the generational talent atmosphere that we got here. But I think Odunze in tier A is fine. I think him there alone is good. But we did not last week. But we got another wide receiver to talk about. And he's up next. Troy Franklin. How does he look up here? Doesn't belong. Doesn't belong. Troy Franklin, though. We covered a PFF mock draft yesterday. Check that out. He went in the second round, latter part of the second round, probably about 8th wide receiver off the board. If you're the 8th wide receiver off the board in this year's draft, you're about 4th, 3rd, 5th wide receiver off the board in any other draft. I garner Troy Franklin as a very smart, nuanced wide receiver. Get downfield and can separate. Right team, right fit. He could go nuclear. Wrong fit. Could be a guy on the field. Getting you some yards. Getting you a little bit of points in fantasy football. Draft capital is going to be here. I do not see him falling in the draft. I can't put him in the Odunze category. I just can't do that. I think B is fine. And there are some people that don't like Troy Franklin. And did you hear the story about Troy Franklin? He was sick at the combine, had the flu or whatever, was down like 15 pounds, was up at the pro day. So he's a little thicker, probably a little burstier, a little faster, a little twitchier than what you saw there. But he played through it, still posted okay times. They were okay times. That being said, the tape checks out with Troy Franklin. The production metrics are there. We're moving on. How does McConkey look in S tier? How does that look? Look at that. How does he look up there? Does he look right? Does he look like he belongs? No, he doesn't. McConkey has not broken out at the college level. But you can't bank on that. Anybody who just hangs on that really isn't doing homework. They're not really playing devil's advocate on these players. They're not arguing against them. You really should just close the laptop when you hear that, because there's more to him too. Like, I'm not super high. When I rank him, it's not going to be high. But when I look at McConkey, though, I do see where he's got some juice. I do see the speed on the tape. I do see him create separation. I do see him being very nuanced. I saw what he did at the Senior Bowl. Am I going to discount that? No. No. Am I going to elevate him? Not really. Am I gaining steam on him a little bit? Tiny bit. I mean, I look at him every week, almost every day, watching a little bit of film every single day on him, as I've watched him throughout his collegiate career. When I look at McConkey and I rank him among this wide receiver class, C tier. C tier, any other year is like an A or B tier, if you put it out like that. Weird, but that's a true story. But I do like him more than Keon Coleman. I like how he separates. I think he's going to get draft capital. I think draft capital is really going to matter here. Draft capital plus a bad production profile is scary. That's why he's at C. But I also see where he can be an upside guy. I can see where he can deliver for us. I see him as a second-round pick in rookie drafts unless he goes to the Chiefs, because it will get Chief privilege there. I say if someone ranks him like here, without context, and it's just, hey, he hasn't broken out in college football, I think they're being disingenuous or not doing their homework. I think you need to be middle of the road with him and just play things out. Next wide receiver we're going to talk about, let's see how he looks in S tier. Roman Wilson. Did well at the Senior Bowl. It's got that speed, got that burst. Everybody exceeded expectations at the Combine. He posted good numbers. When I think about him, I look at him in the light of McConkey. And I think these two are really fighting it off. They're fighting it out. Because they're separators, they got speed. right team, right fit, right usage, either one of those guys could hit. And I think the NFL likes both of them. I have a good feeling about that. I know the media does. Move on to our next guy here. Brandon Rice. Brandon Rice is a wide receiver that I like, that I know that's going to be a discount in rookie drafts. And I may not end up with too many shares because he's also going to be going in the area where there's running backs. And these running backs have to go in the right spot. If we see running backs fall, you're going to see me with a lot of Brandon Rice. That's what I'm saying here. I like how he's assertive. I like how he breaks off routes, aggressive. He's aggressive at the catch point. I think he's a tremendous wide receiver. I think the production profile could be a little bit better. Could make me salivate over him some more. I think when I think about this category up here, I don't think he's going to get the same draft capital. And when we're projecting out for Dynasty Fantasy Football purposes, that matters a lot. But I think he's going to be close. I think the draft capital, if he gets picked a little higher, a few spots higher than expected, like I feel like he might be late second, early third round. But he could be a little bit worse because this deep wide receiver class is going to dilute some guys. I'm going to put him here at D. And I've been moving him up the board. This is a strong D. Just like how your wife likes it. Brandon Rice is going to give you a strong D right now. And Brandon Rice, solid at the catch point, solid at breaking off routes, looked good at the Senior Bowl. I like me some Brandon Rice. But, Xavier Worthy time? Xavier Worthy time? Yep, we're pulling him up there. How does he look in S tier? Doesn't. He does not fit in S tier, but we have elite speed. We're good after the catch. We can break off routes. A nasty release. We got everything here. Xavier Worthy could really be something at the NFL level, especially in the right situation. Flirting with first-round status. Could be early second. So many wide receivers. It's going to really impact draft capital. I think he needs to be in the Troy Franklin range. I think so. I think that upside's there. I think you would make the case he should be here, though. I think so. But you got that production profile. And then if you really dig into the tape, you look at the route running, you'll see him separate. You'll see him be nasty on the release. You'll see him be an A-dot guy, and then also a short catch guy that's getting a yak. Like, he's multifaceted. Like, right team, right situation, he might be pushing here. Like, that speed's different, and you cannot compare him to, like, a John Ross, because John Ross wasn't productive till his last year of college. Right here, he's one of the few wide receivers with an age 18 breakout age, but we don't hang on those numbers. We watch tape. We look at the numbers. We look at the other numbers. We are multifaceted just like Xavier Worthy because that's how we play the game. Malachi Corley, come on down. Steve Smith's lover boy. Malachi Corley. We got the thickness. We got the thickness in the Vince McMahon voice. Does that mean we put him in the D? Since we got the thickness. Because he is a thick wide receiver. Good in the slot. We got some size. We're good after the catch. Throw him down there because, one, it's D. We got the thickness. And then also, draft capital might be behind those guys at C. And then also on top of that, we do have some upside. I think I'm a shade higher than last week. But fit's going to matter with him. But since fit matters, and slot, a little outside, nasty after the catch, assertive, he might lend well at the NFL level in the right spot. Also on top of that, he's a G5 prospect. Lean away if you're too high on him. Lean away a tad bit. Come down to the middle. Still like him. Come down to where I'm at. I'm cool. We're at the bar. We're looking at Malachi Corley. We know he's good. But we're not going to put him on a pedestal either. I think the D is good because he's down with the thickness. If you want to talk about thick, Xavier Legette. Woo! We got some speed here. We got some size-adjusted athleticism. Xavier Legette. What I was saying in these rankings about a month or so ago, weeks ago, that if he failed the combine, we're sending him to hell. Like, I would have made a hell tier. Fire, brimstone. He would have been there, and I would have talked down on him all offseason long. Because he needed a hit to his upside at the combine. Why? Because that's what he shows off on tape. Tremendous size-adjusted athleticism. And if you don't pass the standardized test there, it means something for a player like this. Because we're a little bit raw. But some people say raw, lean into it too much. Because we look at the Senior Bowl, we also see him breaking off routes good. Being a little bit crispy. We got some upside there. I just caught a dog hair just now. That's what I just did there. But also, Xavier Legette wasn't asked to do everything to where it was at. Put in the context there. Mel Kiper put him in the first round. I'm going to do a video on that too. Here soon. Today. But Xavier Legette, where are we going to rank him at? I think if he gets draft capital, we're going to bump him up a little bit. Really depends on the competition. Really depends on his quarterback. Strong quarterback play. If he's on the field, he might be the sneaky play. He's leaning up here. I think I've had him down here before. I think right here in D. Because he's thick. And he's got the D. Moving on. Jalen Polk. Another wide receiver that could be sneaky on us. Can make plays downfield. Can get that A-dot. We need him in a vertical offense. We need him in an offense that's not clustered. I think a lot of NFL teams are going to be clustered at wide receiver once everything's said and done. With this batch of wide receivers, we'll have some more wide receivers coming up over the years. The depth charts are going to get cluttered here soon. You heard it here first, because we look at the wide receivers coming from high school every day, and we're getting linebackers who play wide receiver part-time that can break off routes. I've showed that to you. We've looked at that. Jalen Polk can get downfield, make plays happen. I don't want to put him in F tier because I actually like him. I don't know if he'll get the draft capital. He might be a day 3 guy. Could be a later day 2 guy. Let's put him here at E. Let's put him there. I do like him. If you're an E, and this isn't a cop-out, but in real life, in a real wide receiver class, he's probably like C. He's probably around there. Probably CB. That's probably where it'd be at. In a real wide receiver. This isn't a real wide receiver class. These wide receivers right here, it's not real. This ain't real. There's so many good wide receivers here. It's so deep. From the top to the bottom. Like any other class, anybody down ranked around this range is going up around this range. Keep that in mind. You're like, hey, he's down here. You're sleeping on him. No, I'm sleeping on him if I don't have him ranked. However, it's random right now. So call that out in July because we're going to do this forever. That being said, we're moving on. And we got a big boy coming. Thomas. And after I said that, we might have to put him in D, but we can't. Because that's not how the world works. That's just not how it works. We can't put him in D after I said that. But we'll take a look. But we'll talk about him. We'll talk about Brian Thomas Jr. I like him a lot. I like his release. He's bursty off the release. He can get on the heels of the defense. He can get up on them safeties. He's very nuanced too. He's good at the catch point. Vertical offense. We got a tremendous player. Brian Thomas with Odunze. The upside there, probably going to be a first-round pick. We have tons of upside. Moving on to our next wide receiver, though, Jacob Coen. Looking at him, very productive. He did what he needed to do at the college level, at the G5 level. At UTEP, broke out. Age 18 was productive all year. Every single season there, he broke out. And then, at Arizona, broke out. He just breaks out. We got a lot of upside here. The problem with him, we got all these wide receivers here. That's his problem. So he gets diluted out a little bit. So he's going to be a flyer in the latter rounds of your rookie draft, and that's going to be fine. I like him around here, around Jalen Polk area, because he's a latter round guy that I like. We got to move on, though. A.D. Mitchell. He does not fit there. He doesn't fit there, but we got the home run speed. We can break off routes. Flirting with the first round. Could he get in the first round? Maybe, maybe not. This offensive line class is deep. And some of these teams are going to take advantage of that. Fade the wide receiver class a little bit, knowing that they can get good third-round wide receivers, fourth-round wide receivers, and get their offensive line, maybe some edge or whatever. That's going to happen for maybe 5 to 10 teams. And then other ones are just going to play the board as is. A.D. Mitchell. I can't put him really here. I just don't think he's fine-tuned enough. I don't think we've been productive enough. Then you're like, wait, what about Brian Thomas Jr.? I think he's more bursty off the release. I like him better at the catch point downfield. I like A.D. Mitchell. I think he fits very well in this tier. Who do you like better, Troy Franklin or A.D. Mitchell? Let me know in the comments below, because I'm moving on to the next wide receiver. And Tez Walker, come on down. Tez Walker lost value at the Senior Bowl, which is going to be our gain because he's going to be cheap. He needs to be in the right offense, though. He needs to be pushed vertically because we got that speed. We got that career ADOT at the college level. That being said, when we look at Tez Walker, when we rank him, We can't put him in D tier because I don't think the draft capital is really going to be there. It might be diluted out a bit. He does have some good things on tape. I like him at E. I think that's the right spot for him. Moving on. And I like this guy. A lot of you guys like this guy. I hear this a lot in the comments. A lot. Put it on the board. Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall is here. What do you think about Ricky Pearsall, though? Are you in or you out? Is he going to get drafted in the early second round? We're seeing that in some mocks right now. People are coming up on him. People are starting to talk about him more. I liked him better as a flyer in the third round. I sure did, because I was going to stab that all day. I was going to draft him all day. Still drafting him all day, but now he's in competition with that running back run. Some of those other wide receivers in the second round of rookie drafts, if that happens. My heart says here, he's up here with these guys. I like him as much as these guys. If I was ranking for just draft, NFL draft wide receivers, this would be totally different. Some of these guys would be mixed in with C and D would be a mix. There'd be more of a mix of C and D. That's why you gotta listen to me talk instead of just looking at the rankings. If this was just wide receiver rankings, this would be a mix. This might be a whole tier together. But we're playing draft capital bandits here. We're also looking at dynasty value. I think he's a strong D. You can't be a Pearsall without being a strong D. Him and Rice, they're strong Ds. They're strong Ds. And what keeps them from Cs is really like the brand loyalty of a Keon Coleman, McConkey, and a Roman Wilson. And then on top of that, I feel the NFL likes these two guys. They might hate him. I don't know. They might hate him. Because this is Separators League. However, Mingo got drafted pretty high. And it may need a big guy. Somebody might need that big guy. Keon Coleman, be on the watch out for anything. Javon Baker, come on down. One of my favorite wide receivers in this class. One of my favorites. Haven't talked about him too much. We're at Alabama. A lot of talent there. Hard to get noticed. We make it down to the G5 level. We put the stamp on things. The tape's checking out. Everything's looking good. I like me some Javon Baker. When I look at Javon Baker, you can't put him here. Now, if I'm ranking wide receivers for the draft and how I like my wide receivers, here's. I'm questioning the NFL draft. I say maybe late second. Javon Baker's a strong D. I like him better than Legette. I think Legette gets better draft capital. Corley's up there in this discussion. Strong D. Strong D. Give him the D. Give him the D, Baker. But now it's time to talk about Malik Washington. Upside wide receiver. He's going to be a guy you're taking stabs on in the late round of rookie drafts. Did well at the Shrine game. Has some opportunity there. Was very productive. He's going to be drafted a little later. I think the upside's going to really matter where he's at in the draft. Where he's at in the draft, who he goes to, and all that stuff. I'm going to put him there. He's a flyer. F means flyer, not failed. Flyer. I like flyers. Cornelius Johnson. Looking at him, I'm moving Malik Washington up. Cornelius Johnson here. He could be more productive if he didn't get hardballed, but Cornelius Johnson, I watched his release, not really quick off the release, not twitchy enough, a little stiffer. That being said, I'm going to keep him in an F. I think I had him there last week. We're going to keep him there. And Jamari Thrash, come on down. Jamari Thrash, come on down. Looking at Jamari Thrash, very interesting wide receiver prospect here. He's got quicks. He's got nuance. Where he gets drafted matters, of course, especially when you're around this range. I'm putting him here because we got some speed to burn. We're quick downfield. We could be a deep ball guy at the next level. This could be a sneaky prospect. But we're moving on. Jalen McMillan. Jalen McMillan is a player here who's got some upside. Very nuanced route runner. A Devy guy from years ago. Jalen McMillan is a guy you need to pay attention to in the draft, see what the NFL thinks. Could fall, could get drafted higher than what you expect. I think I'm going to put him beside Polk here. Strong E. Strong eggplant. That's what I think about him. Moving on, because we really want the thickness here. And no one's thicker than Johnny Wilson. And the thing I like about him is he should be moving to tight end. And if that happens, we're going to be all about that. We're going to be all about Johnny Wilson moving to tight end. And if that happens, we got tons of upside. When I think about him in this class, and I think about that position designation, and him potentially being valued different in Dynasty Fantasy Football, straight up wide receiver here. With the tight end spot being involved here, because if he goes in the tight end spot, with this being a weaker tight end class, one of the top tight ends in the class when it comes to pass catching, putting him here. We don't want to sleep on Johnny Wilson. He's thick D. It goes together. And now we're getting into our new 3 wide receivers. And we're going with Smith here. Smith here is going to F. Ineas Smith going to F. Going to F. I say his name 3 different ways. And I'm calling it that. It's going to F. I feel like he could be a sneaky play if it goes to the right situation. He seems like a Miami Dolphin. You can move him around because he's got speed, good off the release. He is a jack-of-all-trades player. Played some running back, cornerback out of high school, or a wide receiver. We're twitched up. Production's not really there. We were in college forever. He's a Van Wilder prospect. How can he sneak up on us? Right situation at the right place, right time kind of deal. Next, Taj Washington. Sneaky tape because the production's not grandiose. The production isn't grandiose, but when you look at Taj Washington on tape, you can see him being a vertical threat, creating separation, being used in the slot and the outside. Since the production's not grandiose, you know he's going to be more than likely a day 3 guy. Might sneak up there, though. We're going eggplant. We're going to eggplant tier. Now it's time for that sleeper. That sleeper that I was talking about earlier. Not many people are talking about him, and I think they're scared to talk about him because the production's not grand. I'm talking about Jermaine Burton. He's quick off the release. He's downfield. He can command that A-dot, create separation. The production's not grandiose, but when you're a sleeper, that's not going to happen. You're going to have some red flags there. And I feel like you're going to catch more sleepers at wide receiver this year and on forward. You're going to see that in the later rounds. High-end recruit. Went to Georgia. Then Alabama. Went to Alabama. Was productive. I think you got something here. I'm just not putting chips on it, though. But I can call him a sleeper. No one's really talking about him. And I think here. And just because he's ranked low doesn't mean I don't like him or drafting him. Fuck it. We put him here. Eggplant player. But those are the rookie wide receivers for this week. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.